What's up, everybody? So what I wanted to do here was, I'm not very good at intros, but we'll just get right into what I wanted to kind of talk about. So this is going to be my first video on this channel, and essentially what it is I'm going to be essentially video documenting my experiences while playing games that I really like to play. I primarily play RPGs, and I just wanted a place where I could document kind of my thoughts on them, share my thoughts on them. I'm felt that this would be a good time to start talking about all of the different games I like to play, why I like to play them, my critiques on them, and what they could do to be better, what they're doing pretty good. And I just wanted to kind of have a good spot to bring all that together. Wanted to live stream the games just for fun. So yeah, so here we go. The first game I wanted to pick was a game I play quite a bit called Black Desert Online. And I sort of wanted to make content for this game in particular. So with that said, I wanted to do the first video of being the things I really like about the game, and then another series or sets of videos that I'm gonna upload probably at the same time or around the same time of things I think could improve, or aspects of the game that I think are kind of lacking, if that makes sense. And I wanted to start with the positives first, because I think the negatives, or not even negatives, but just more like so improvements of the game, will have like something to kind of counterbalance off of, rather than just rant about the game and what I don't like about it. I wanted people to know that there are aspects of this game that I think are really good, that PA should keep making better, and there's aspects of it that are not so good, that they can, I think, improve on. And from what we've seen in recent years, they've actually worked pretty hard to try to do that. So with that said, I wanted to start about what I think are parts of BDO that I think are really good, and things that I think that they should keep leaning into, like as they go further, when they may come out with patches and updates, I guess you could say. The first one I would say is, I think graphically BDO looks like a really impressive game. I'm over here at the Shirikan Necropolis, getting ready to do the second infinite health potion piece, and I think graphically this game looks really impressive, I guess you could say. I think can't think of a single other MMO that graphically really lines up with Black Desert Online. There are not too many of those that can really, I guess, have really tried to push this graphical fidelity within their game. So there's another player right there doing their thing. And yeah, and this kind of reflects all over the world. As you can see, the map is like quite large in the game. There's a lot of places to go to, and all of these places look very good. Is there some pop-in and stuff here and there? Sure, but I think for what we get with it, it's extremely good in terms of its graphics. The next thing is, and I think this is the part that if you watch any Black Desert video, will be its combat. The combat in Black Desert is really one of a kind, even in the action RPG like subgenre space of MMOs. Black Desert tends to stick out because it does things that I think a lot of other developers thought about or wanted to do, which was create a more combo driven action system that flows really well together. The way animations are, and the speed of the animations, the look of the animations, those parts of Black Desert I think are really, really good. And I think they result in a game that feels very unique, but it's a game that's centered around farming for long periods of time. And because the combat system is so good in the game, never gets really that boring to grind. I know some people say, oh, that sounds really boring, but when you are trying to min-max your class, maximize your combos, and get that real, like really dive deep into the combat, obviously assuming that you're a player who likes to dive deep into combat, there is something for you to get out of the game. And I think that's something where the game is really interesting. And within the combat system, it also has a lot of classes. So generally, if you are a person who likes high actions per minute, low actions per minute, fast pace, range versus melee, hybrids of the two, you generally will find a play style that will fit you in some shape or form. And with the combat and kind of characters kind of stuff too, BDO also has a crazy good character creator in its game, where you can practically edit every aspect of your character in the game. And that's something you could do. I think that's something that Black Desert still does extremely well. The next thing that I really like about this game is there's pros and cons to this one, but I'm going to lean into the pros on this one, and this will also be a con in a later maybe video, or if I stitch this together some way with another set of clips or something. But most likely it'll just be another video, because I wanted all of the little aspects of it to be like organized, is the long-term progression in Black Desert. One of the things that, as someone who's been playing MMOs for forever, one of the roughest parts about it these days has been the constant resetting of stuff. And the short-term progression, where it's like you just go real hard for like a couple of weeks, and then the game's progression is just kind of over. It's not like you just kind of wait for the next expansion, and then you kind of just do what you were doing, but again, I think Black Desert handles this aspect really well, where every addition to the game, every new area kind of builds on what came before. It doesn't invalidate the previous progression, because you still have to go through it to get to the new place within the game. And with Black Desert's progression, it takes a long time to get to gear cap. I'm nowhere near gear cap, and to give an idea for the players of my gear, this is kind of where I'm sitting at the moment in gear. This has taken some time to get to. I'll move this over, actually. I think a little bit in the way. But yeah, you can see like this is kind of the gear I'm at right now. Is it min-maxed and perfect? No, I'm still making gains. I'm still trying to get DP up and stuff like that, get my gear Caphras and all that jazz, while grinding for my infinite pot piece. But I haven't gotten like super deep. I'm farther than just a normal player doing, playing very casually. I would not say I'm playing the game casually, but there's still a lot to go. There's a lot to progress. There's a lot more gear to go than just even here. And there's always something to be working towards in the game. I think that's something that's really positive about its long-term progression. There's always a chase item, there's always a little bit of gear score, and the only people who like run out of doing that are those who've been playing it for years and years, maybe even since launch, and people who just play it non-stop, grind 8 hours a day. I unfortunately cannot do that, I guess you could say, or maybe fortunately, depending on your view of it. But I still put in a lot of effort and energy into the game, and get quite a bit of grinding every night into the game. That I would say that's a big positive of the game. I think that's a huge draw that would bring a lot of players into the game. The next big thing that I would kind of say is a super positive is the emphasis on open world. I know a lot of like, is this game worth it in blah 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 time don't really talk about this. Don't really often talk about how they just say, oh, the game has a good open world, but I think there requires there to be a little bit more elaboration, because I think you could say games like Guild Wars 2 have great open worlds, ESO has great open worlds, you could say that kind of stuff. But with Black Desert, what makes its open world really special is that the content is actually in the open world, like the end game content. This is a game that operates very differently, where there aren't really dungeons and raids. in the game, which I'll get into in some portion of negative here, because like a lot of these positives do come with a double-edged sword, I guess you could say. But you know, we have like these various grind spots in the game. Like, you know, you got your Turas down here, you got your Thornwood, and as you progress in gear, as you become more powerful, you want to start hitting all of these different spots depending on what your goals are as a player. And these, like, you can go to Star's End, start there. You can go you can travel all the way, you know, after you get done with Star's End, you start getting a little bit more powerful. Maybe you start going into Elvia Realm spots. Maybe you say, you know what, we're going to start hitting some Gyphins. You start basically working in that aspect of the game where it's like, oh, I want to get to this next grind spot. And this is all in the open world. There's no instancing, there's no queuing up for anything that you really have to wait for. You just have to get there. The other thing I like about it is that the world has some degree of danger in it. You can queue up for PvP at any time. I actually, despite how, you know, competitive I get in PvP in games, and try to win, you know, with maybe some tilting here and there sometimes, I think this is a really great aspect of the game. It is something that I wish more games did, where there was an actual danger of other players in more places in games. And I'm not saying, like, you know, go full loot people. I don't really like that in MMOs. I think you work too hard for your gear for it to just be full looted off of you. But I do like the aspect that, you know, if you want a grind spot, you can actually beat someone and get it. You know, you can kind of, you know, have this little PvP, little mind games about farming. I think that adds a big aspect of interesting portions of the game. It puts emphasis on social guild aspects of the game. And I think that part is really good. I think that part is really fun to do, and some of my best memories come from battling over spots. That's one of the big things there. And that's one thing I like. I like how the open world is, and a good way to put this, I think, is I like that the open world is like a conduit for content. It isn't just there to kind of link you to content, it is the content for the most part in the game. And I think it's, as someone, I play a lot of different MMOs, I don't just play one. It is kind of nice to play a game that isn't doing what WoW is doing, if that makes sense. It is, it's trying to do something really different. I think that's why it's carved out its niche for players. And as you can see, the map is massive, and there's no load screens in this map. That's the other big thing. This map allows you to go from here all the way to here, all the way to here without loading anything. Like, it loads things, of course, but you don't see a loading screen as you're going from place to place. And I think that's a really impressive and immersive part of the game. And when this game expands, it expands the map. It gets bigger. And things like that. So I think that's a super positive aspect of the game. The other one, which is also kind of in this map here, is the node system. I think the node system is a very brilliant system that I think more games should try to use. It starts off very simple, but then it starts getting really complex. And to give you an idea, I am a person who's based out of Altanova, is where I've kind of picked, because I like to mine ore. As you can see, I got tons of it. And I do alchemy. And I do alchemy because when you start going to higher level spots, you kind of need an elixir rotation. You kind of need to have your own little buffs and stuff. And I kind of make them for myself. I don't do it for profit because alchemy kind of sucks for profit, but that can get into a different video entirely. But here is where I would say that the game gets very interesting when it comes to its crafting content, where first you have to, I guess there's two steps to this, and you have to go over it, and they're both really good. The first step is the exploration aspect of the game. You have to go explore these nodes. You have to go find them. Like, when I first started playing this game, like, all I could see was this little square here of places. And eventually I had to go discover all of these little things around the map and piece them, like, all together. And when you piece them together, you get these nodes, and these nodes are they allow you to get resources. You invest contribution points in them, which you get from questing, and you basically assign workers to these. And then you invest in the towns and the housing. As you can see, I've invested very heavily in this town. I've basically gotten something in every place. And you need to essentially expand your storage there, get lodging for workers, things like that. They can go into another video at some point as well about the in-depth quotient of nodes, but basically I've connected all these nodes to get certain things for alchemy and then in the other direction for mining. And you can see there's a bunch of different node networks that jump off of this. I think this system is a really cool way to kind of have that almost RTS-like management of your worker empire, as they like to call it in the game. And there's a lot of things you can do with it. And as you can see, there's different nodes for different ores and stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of this stuff can be manually collected. So if you were someone who was like worried, like, oh my god, will I not be involved at all in the gathering of things? No, because nodes are like a little bit more passive. You actually, if you want to collect a lot of things really fast, you actually have to go out and collect it and expend your energy to do so. And I think that is, super good. I think that's a really good thing about it, which is like with the node system also leans really heavily into the knowledge system. So the knowledge system gives you more energy to do gathering and things like that. And I think encouraging the player to actually go learn and talk to different NPCs when they get to a town they've never been to, learn little tidbits of the lore from here and there, I think is a really brilliant way of structuring your open world. Because I think we've all been there where a lot of games, especially MMO type games, love to tell you that you should explore, right? That it's a big part of our game. You should go explore to get blah blah blah. But a lot of times those rewards are very hollow and they run out the second you reach the end game. They don't matter anymore. It's more about being efficient and going to the right places. But one thing I think is really brilliant about the design of this game is that because the knowledge system up here expands your energy, which is needed to gather. It makes you more efficient at grinding certain spots like Sherikon Night. You need energy. It makes you able to gather for longer periods of time. It makes you just be able to do more in the game. You get that for gaining knowledge. You're constantly given quests to gain more knowledge and gain more energy, and to do so and hit milestones. And no matter what kind of player you are, if you're a casual, you obviously want to go explore and have a good time, right? And that's part of it for you as well. But even if you are the most efficient, the most min-maxy player, you have to engage with this exploration system. You may not read the dialogue, you may not do any of those things, but you will be exploring the game, whether you realize it or not, or whether you want to look at it that way or not. And that's what I think is really brilliant about the design of the knowledge system. I think I never see videos ever talk about the knowledge system, and it is an interesting system. It encourages you to kind of lift every rock up. It's a very nice, fun completionist feature of the game that I think is really underappreciated. And is a good way to get players to go exploring. Like, for example, I will just drop what I'm doing on a Saturday or something, or whenever I want to chill, and just quest. And I quest for contribution points to expand my node empire, and I quest for knowledge, right? Learning more parts of the game, getting my energy up. I think that's a really important aspect of the game. And I think it's something that's very underappreciated. The last system that I wanted to talk about was the life skilling system. There's my character stats as well. This is where you see the stats of your character. It's not a big deal. But as you can see, I've done a variety of life skilling in this game. Some of them I have not touched really at all in this game. But I think this is a really interesting system to craft and build things with. And it's something I like about the game. I like that it's a nice, chill crafting experience that I could do between grinding. If you're someone who wants to dive deep into the system, it gets real in depth about min-maxing your way to making enough silver or money in this game to, get more items and things like that. So, that is something that that is, I think, good. I think it's good, and a lot of these things can be still passively leveled even if you are not just a pure life skill player. You don't have to just dive deep into crafting and ignore all other parts of the game in order to like get things out of this. Like every day, like after I'm done grinding and I'm just chilling, maybe I'm watching a TV show, maybe I go to the gym, I do whatever, I can set my character up to do processing. I can set them up to do a bunch of alchemy and just walk away from the computer for a little bit. And I think that's a really interesting system to do and have going in the games. So yeah, that's basically one of the things that I just wanted to share, like, I guess, is in terms of things that I like. Yeah, and I'd say overall, like, that is a couple of things that I just kind of enjoy about the game. I want to create another set of videos that are talking about parts of the game that I want to critique. As you can see, there are many parts of the game that, you know, just I didn't mention because I don't think they're quite up to snuff in terms of polish, maybe in terms of just functionality. Like, there are some features in this game that need some love. Like, they're in desperate need of love, and the longer the game goes without giving them love, the more they fall off or become kind of a hindrance. So to kind of give you an idea of the series of videos I want to make, I will start with problems for the new player. I'll start from the beginning and start making my way towards the end for feature by feature, and just keep like, you know, just building my thoughts basically on the game. It's nothing too complex, nothing too crazy, just like that, and just, you know, stream here and there on YouTube and stuff, and just start kind of in a way for if people want to see me doing those things, if they want to, you know, ask questions in a chat or something like that, and just, you know, hang out or have a good time with just another person who's making BDO content, they totally can. So, but yeah, but I think that kind of wraps it up for the positives. Just to kind of like reiterate, I think the graphics are outstanding. I think the combat is great. I think the long-term progression of the game is something that is hard to master, and they've been getting better at it over years, but I think it is a positive for the game in comparison to more short-term progression games. Emphasis on the open world is a big one, where it's a conduit for content. A node system that allows you to manage all these workers and have like this game kind of within a game, I think is really brilliant and a nice way to get passively materials to do things with later on, even when you are not playing as heavily. I think the knowledge system is a cool way to like push people to go learn about the world, learn about, explore the world, you know, discover new things, new nooks and crannies of it, and really make the world kind of feel like a place you want to explore, regardless of the type of player you are. And then the life skill system, which I think has a lot of depth to it, especially when you start playing the market around it. There's guides all over YouTube of how to min-max that. I'm more of a grinder, I will say. I don't go deep into life skill. I don't have life skilling gear. I go and I like to fight. I like to use the combat of this game. But I do life skill in the sense of when I'm not in grinding mode, I am making alchemy. I start doing cooking. I do a lot of processing. I'm one of those people that's filling those ore orders, you know, like which some of them are pretty rough. Like if you know anything about polished stone, you will know that it's constantly in demand in the game. I'm one of those people kind of making those things. So for my next video, I'm going to start with the new player experience, then dive into the PvE, then dive into the PvP kind of aspects of the game that I think could use a little shore up, and then some even the life skilling aspects of the game, and then the progression I would say progression / monetization of the game, and that's just because, well, they're tied together in this game. And if those of you who made it this far through the video probably know that I have the opinion that the game is probably pay to win, but that could be a different conversation. So, you know, but yeah, for those who made it this far, I guess thanks for watching the video, and yeah, I'll just keep uploading stuff and we'll see where it goes. Catch y'all later.